So a lot of you enjoyed my BMW 235i story about my drive across the Nevada desert. And I hinted at there being a second story. There's tons of stories, but there's one other one that's quite close to my heart. And I gotta tell you, this Audi R8 V10 that I'm currently in, the Spyder, is taking me back. So before the pandemic, we used to be able to fly to different countries. And indeed before that, before this life as a filmmaker, YouTuber, I used to be a full-on motoring journalist, magazine editor, all those kinds of things, and I'd often fly around and drive amazing cars in amazing landscapes, sometimes on amazing racetracks. I'm going to use the word amazing a lot. The close runner-up has to be the time that I was invited to drive the Audi R8 V10 Plus in Portugal at Portimao racing circuit, Formula One racing circuit. And that was fantastic, driving a car of that kind of performance around a world-class circuit, carving up apexes, having professional racing drivers take us around and show us where to go faster, where to go slower. And we were pushing it, and it was amazing. And yeah, it's pretty much bucket list tick right there. Someone came over, and I'm not sure if they made everyone the same offer, but someone came over to me and said, hey, if you're down the track and you want to head out, by all means go for it. You can grab the keys to one of the other Audi R8 V10 Pluses and just go cruise around the roads around the racing circuit. So I was like, yeah, I'll go take a brand new Audi R8 V10 and just cruise around these unknown roads. Why not? So I did. Took a bright red V10 R8 coupe, and I was off. And I remember it being at like 5:15 in the evening, and the sun was still, I felt quite high, so it was bright out, and I just charged up and down these mountain roads. No one told me the roads around Portimao, pretty much better than the racing circuit. Just beautiful, tree-lined, winding, not so wide, believe me. But this car has this ability to shrink around you and feel a lot smaller than it actually is. Either way, there I was, and I completely hammered this car, like redlined it, and I just carved up the roads. And I remember feeling like I'm using this car, or misusing this car, like it was a hopped up Mazda MX-5, because it felt small. I was low on the ground, I was flying along, I was redlining, just carving up the freaking apexes, and I'd only be reminded of how big this thing how wide this thing actually was when another car would be coming on, and you realize you're practically onto their lane as well. Anyway, I drove and I drove and I drove, and I just went mental in this car. Eventually it was about 5 to 6, and the sun had started dipping quite aggressively, and it was getting dark. And I turned around where I could find a safe spot to do so and just started cruising back. And by the time I got back to the circuit, it was completely pitch black. It was nighttime. And it was awesome in that way too, in that I felt like I'd had a day out in this amazing machine, and then also had a little bit of a nighttime experience. And believe me, that was thrills too, like in the dark, the road being illuminated by my headlights and not much else. And I'm just gunning at this V10 noise right down my head, just screaming and screaming. Left to my own devices in a super hot car. Damn, that was a hell of an experience. Like, if you ever get the chance, just like, Portugal's amazing in its own right. Feels a lot like Cape Town. but the area around Portimao, those are some of the best roads I've ever driven on. And I've been lucky, I'm one of the fortunate ones. I've driven a Ferrari FF in the Italian Alps and so on. So and that's obviously fantastic and special, and maybe that's another video. But an R8, it's a planted, predictable, safe supercar, and given the keys to your own little playground for a couple of hours, man, that is by all means my second most epic drive I've ever done.